We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience, to the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down. We have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We, the people.
And welcome to Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media. Craig the Movie Guy not Craig the Movie Guy, what am I saying? Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. And Diane Sorey from the Patriot Factor. Diane, are you okay?
Well, I'm here. Let's put it that way.
You sound awesome.
Oh, God, I am so sick, guys. I have not been sick in 9 years. Not a cold, not a sore throat, not anything. But unfortunately, my spousal unit brought it home from the hospital, and I just want to kill him and kill the virus.
Now, let me take our listeners back about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and you were talking about how when men get sick, men are whiny little babies and have to, it's just horrible, how horrible men are when they get sick. Now, in the lead up to the show, folks, for about the last 15 minutes here, myself and our production manager, we've been regaled with Diane's whining.
Not true. You've been talking about food. Let's see. Crusted salmon, chicken breasts you can stick in your bras when you lose too much weight. I mean, all sorts of stuff. Now, in between, I have done my share of whining.
You've done your share, and
after 9 years of perfect health, I'm allowed a little whining.
You've done your share and a couple of other people's share.
Don't make me laugh or you'll set off a coughing spell.
Folks, we got a lot to talk about today on the big show. We've got the state of the rainbow farting unicorn speech last night. We've got Muslims in Yemen We've got a couple of articles. Diane has a great article out on the no-go zones. I did an article yesterday on American Sniper, and so we're going to get into that. But the State of the Union speech last night, there's good news and there's bad news, Diane. The good news is
that it's over and we don't have to hear it for another year. The bad news is it was a lie fest.
Well, let me start with my version of the bad news. The bad news is we had to sit and listen to the whole damn thing last night.
True.
The good news is we'll only have to listen to the same pile of lies 2 more times.
True. Well, technically, I think it's only 1 more time, isn't it?
No, because he'll. Well, you're right. It is only 1 more because he'll do 2016 and then 2017. We'll have somebody else.
Right, and hopefully a Republican doing it, which will be great. And unfortunately, guys, Craig and I did not have the allowance to not listen to it because we both have articles coming out tomorrow on the State of the Disunion speech.
Now, I was going to regale our listeners with clips from last night's speech. However, this is more good news, especially for our listeners. I have decided I didn't want to hear any bit of that bull crap again. So I have dispensed with all the clips, and we're just going to talk about it.
Oh, God, that's bad enough just having to rehash it in our minds. Yeah. Guys, I never heard such a bunch of bull, lies, patting himself on the back. Our narcissist in chief was in rare form last night.
Well, the best part of this is it's your commentary and my commentary, with the truth sprinkled over the mountain of lies. So rather than have to listen to that bellicose, blathering, bombastic idiot, you just have to listen to us.
About bombastic, blathering baboon.
Well, that's probably closer to the truth.
Yeah.
But what do you say? What do you say we get started? Let's wake up Muhammad, our moderate Muslim intern, Mohammed Hussein Obama, from his cave high in the mountains of Tora Bora to see if he has any quick hitters for us today. Oh, Mohammed! Mohammed, Diane is really, really sick, so what do you say you keep the screaming down to a bare minimum today? Hey, well, I can't repeat what he said.
Ask him if he has any old-fashioned Iranian or wherever he's from cave remedies.
While Diane's harfing up a hairball, do you have any remedies for the common cold? He said yes, but it involves a camel.
Oh, I don't want it.
Well, just fire up the intercontinental ballistic, camel, and send us some quick hitters, would you? All righty, let's see what we've got here. I got mine. Well, look at here. We actually start kind of with the precursor to yesterday's State of the Union address. There's always a big luncheon for the press. And while they can't really talk about what is said at the luncheon, because that's against the rules, wouldn't you like to know? They can talk about the luncheon in general. And yesterday, we found out from Shep Smith over at Fox News that the placards on the table left out news on the Fox table. For instance, the ABC table, all the little place cards said ABC News. At the CBS table, it said CBS News. NBC News at the NBC table. And at the Fox table, it said Fox.
Well, of course, because they don't consider Fox News. They just consider, Fox, let's go attack Obama.
Well, here's the thing, folks. Can you get more petty than that? From the very first days of the Obama regime, he's had it out for Fox News. At one point, he even cut Fox News out of the give and take. He banned Fox News for a brief amount of time from the White House briefing room.
Well, Fox is like a thorn in his side or like a knife in his back. I mean, Fox, for the most part, and I have a little bone to pick with Fox, and we'll get into that in the last half hour, but Fox is generally the only station that will even remotely tell the truth about he and his administration.
Well, I mean, you call Fox News a thorn in his side. I call Fox News, when it comes to Obama, I call it a Fox News a boil on the buttocks of the Oval Office. I mean, seriously, you think about it. I mean, Fox News, they tell the stories from both sides. They when they do their commentary shows, they always have somebody on representing both sides of the issue.
Right.
When they do their news programs, they often bring the liberals in to talk about whatever it is, as well as the conservatives or the Democrats and the Republicans, however you want to call it. The other channels don't do that. They just give you the liberal side of whatever story it is.
Well, they claim to be fair and balanced. And I'd say most of the reporters are pretty much so, most of the talking heads. Lately, O'Reilly has gone a bit too far to the left for my liking. He seems to be becoming a cheerleader for Obama on certain issues, not all, but on certain. But Fox, I mean, except for we bloggers who get out the truth, really, Fox is all we have.
Yeah, I mean, that's really about it. I mean, you can either watch that or MSNBC, and nobody is watching MSNBC. So,
No.
I mean, what else are you going to do? But, I just thought that was kind of a petty deal that, they left news off of the place cards and just put Fox.
Well, that's deliberate. That's deliberate.
Of course it is. Of course it's deliberate, but it doesn't hurt to highlight the fact that this regime has it out for Fox News.
Well, they're just petty.
Well, they are. They are. Now, our second quick hitter today, we've got Muslims running away. Run away! Run away! They're running from Northern Ireland because apparently, Diane, there's been a little anti-Muslim action going on there, and the Muzzies are scared.
Well, isn't that just too bad? You think we can do a little of that over here?
Now, this, this stems from, I guess, what was a home invasion. Some people got a little sick and tired of a Muzzy family for whatever reason. Maybe they were spouting off too much. And apparently broke into their house, which is not something you want to encourage. And they kind of let fly a little bit. So, in light of that, just being rousted up a little bit, the Muslims are leaving Northern Ireland. So this is telling me that Muslims can dish it out, but they can't take it.
Well, what this actually stemmed from, yes, it was a home invasion, but it came after a Belfast-based pastor. His name was James McConnell. He said in a sermon, and this is a quote, and I got to give this man a lot of credit, "The God we worship and serve this evening is not Allah. The Muslim God Allah is a heathen deity. Allah is a cruel deity. Allah is a demon deity." And he later added that Islam is a doctrine spawned in hell. Gee, Craig, kind of like what we've been saying for how many years now?
I know, it kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Doesn't it, though?
So some members of the flock went over and kind of rousted this Muslim family up a little bit. Nobody lost their head.
No.
Nothing exploded. There were not little bits and pieces of people here and there. There was no ransom demands. There was no... none of there's no stoning, no flogging, no hangings. None of the stuff that you see in the Muslim world, over in the Islamic nations. None of that, but because of it, and it took place in this one house, a whole bunch of Muslims decided to run away and flee Northern Ireland because, there's anti-Muslim violence.
And this was not a sweet, innocent Muslim family, folks. These people had caused trouble in the town before, specifically in this church. So in other words, this was payback is a bitch time.
Yeah, kind of was. But, look, if that's all it takes, hello, Dearborn.
Yeah, let's give it to Dearborn, tenfold here. Guys, please excuse any coughing or hacking you hear. I really can't help it.
or sniffling or blowing of nasal passages.
Right. Maybe Robert can edit this all out for the repeats later.
I think what I'm going to do is ask him to add some more in. Well, this ought to make you feel much better, Diane. Moo Shell's school lunch program is getting hammered. It's actually getting worse. The food is getting worse, and students are getting more and more pissed.
Yes, I'm looking at a picture of some of it, and I'll tell you, as sick as I am, this actually makes you feel sicker.
It's nauseating.
Looking at it.
It's nauseating to look at. I mean, there's some photos there, folks. Whatever it is that's on these trays is completely non-identifiable.
Yes, in fact, some of the kids are saying that the chicken nuggets they serve have nothing in them. They're just empty. An empty shell.
I mean, it's like nuggets, no chicken.
Yeah.
One student tweeted because her sister is forced to eat this stuff, and she said, "My God, my sister is forced to eat prison food." Yes. They're saying that it tastes like prison food. That they have things like chickpea sliders, whole grain pizza. I mean, come on, guys. All of us through the generations, we all grew up on school lunches, and none of us are any worse for wear. And the moon needs to look in a mirror, because who the hell is she to tell people how to eat? Has she looked at herself lately? How fat she is? Well, I mean, here's the thing. Again, this is a good news, bad news thing. The bad news is, of course, the food tastes like crap. The good news is the portions are really, really small. Students are not getting enough to eat in these moose shell, mandated school lunches. Right. And one student complained all they got was a plate of empty nachos with a side of coffee-flavored, fat-free milk. That sounds absolutely gross. But it's good for them. See, this is a healthy way that students have to eat. Folks, here's what it is. What they're doing here, I figured it out. They're preparing students for the future. Because the future under socialism is that's all any of us are going to have to eat. They put so many regulations on the farming industry, they're not going to be able to raise anything other than slop. People are going to be so poor by the time socialism finally fully sets in that you won't be able to afford to buy anything but slop. And we will all be subsisting on Mouchel school lunches. They're just preparing students for the future. Yeah, now listen to this, guys. Here's a statistic. 83% of the nation's schools report more lunches are dumped by kids than are eaten. Well, the way this works, folks, is that if you're going to serve kids something that comes out of a garbage can, chances are they're going to put it right back in. Yeah, they're even going so far as to say that if they use 20 pounds of, let's say, cucumbers, 17 pounds of it is thrown away because the kids hate what's being done to it. I mean, can you imagine? Over 80% of the food under this Mouchel school lunch program is winding up in city landfills because it is inedible. Yeah, and it looks absolutely gross. I mean,
kids are being served a plate of brown slop. There's no other way I can describe it. They call it mystery meat because they have no idea what it is. Mashed potatoes, the last time I checked, Craig, they're supposed to be white, not brown.
Ooh.
And bananas are not supposed to be rotted through in the middle.
Now, when I was a kid growing up, we complained about school lunches. We did. And I would like to take back everything I ever said negatively to the school lunch ladies, because compared to what's being served to kids today, what we had came from a 5-star restaurant.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I must admit, when my kids were in school, when they were in high school, I let them buy their lunches. But when they were in grade school, I did pack their lunches for them every day because I wanted to make sure they had healthy meals. But I did that out of my own free choice, not because I thought there was anything wrong with the school lunches. On pizza day on Friday, they bought their lunch because they loved the pizza. And yes, by the time my kids were in school, we did have the salads and all of that. But it was normal, good stuff, not brown mystery meat or brown mashed potatoes.
Yeah, there's something really, really wrong when the potatoes are brown. I mean, there's something really wrong with it. I mean, I would look at that and go, are these even fit for human consumption? I mean, they look spoiled.
And you know what I don't get is, we do have a thing called states' rights. And why don't the states just tell Moo to take her food and shove it?
Well, some of them have. I mean, there are school districts out there that they tried it. Students hated it. They were throwing the food away, like you said, over 80% of it. And certain school districts have thrown up their hands and said, you know what, screw this. We're going back to what the kids actually enjoyed eating. And they've ditched it, and more continue to do that. It's a horrible, horrible school lunch program.
Yes, and kids, you got to suffer through it, it seems, for 2 more years. Just hang in there. It's almost over.
Well, and hopefully, more and more states are just going to say, you know what? No. Because look, kids need food. They need real food, and they need, plenty of it, because kids burn calories faster than adults do. And kids they're going to burn that stuff up. Kids are going home after eating their school lunches and just snarfing down whatever they can get their hands on because they're starving.
Yeah, and there's another drawback to this, Craig. Recent studies have found that since these school lunches, the amount of kids participating in after-school sports has dropped because the kids are so weak from not eating all day.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Thank you, Moo.
Well, look here. Finally, in today's Quick Hitters, we have yet another school-oriented thing. This is a study that has come out, and you can bet your bottom dollar that this is a liberal study. White students and men should not be allowed to speak first in classrooms. Right.
They want black students followed by women speaking. I mean, can you say racism?
If it was the other way around, you can bet the left would be screaming racism. If the new rule, and this is just a study, and this is what some people think should happen. If this study said that white students, and men should be allowed to speak before students of any other color or women, you can bet the left would be having kittens today over
Exactly. This. And you know what I don't get, Craig? Blacks in America make up roughly about 13% of the population, yet a small minority within that 13% is dictating to the rest of the country what we should and shouldn't do. And you know what I say to them? Screw you.
Exactly.
Simply. I mean, this is getting so out of hand. This is political correctness run amok. And our lawmakers are allowing a percentage of that 13% to dictate to the rest, to 87% of America. Guys, don't you find something wrong with this?
Well, here's the way. Now, maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm just a loon, but here's the way I think this ought to go. Okay, if a teacher asks a question, whoever has the answer or has something of substance to say first should be allowed to go first. I don't care if they're black, white, green, purple, pink with orange polka dots. I don't care if it's a man or a woman or something else. Whoever's got the first thing of substance to add should be allowed to go first. Period.
Right.
What, am I crazy?
No, and you know what it is? This is that whole collective guilt nonsense. They're trying to blame whites for past events. Now it's present events. And next, you know, they'll be blaming us for things that happen in the future that have not happened yet.
Well, I know, but that's because of Back to the Future.
I'm tired of it.
Really? You're tired of it? I'm just starting to enjoy all this.
Oh, dear.
Good Lord. You know, I mean, so according to this, if this filters down into the public school system, only black students and girls will be able to talk about how crappy the school lunches are.
Ah, that's true. That's true. But this whole thing is ridiculous, guys. We have got to stop this political correctness nonsense because it is doing more harm to this country than almost anything. You know, people are people. Judge each person for who they are, not for what you perceive them to be or what the color of their skin is. You know what gets me, Craig? This whole thing with being black. This is something that I never understood. The only difference between a black and a white person is blacks have more melanin in their skin. Yet certain whites hate them so much, yet it's those certain whites who will go to the beach and bake themselves until they're as dark as the people they hate. So figure out the logic here.
Well, you know, I've always said if the color of your skin or the color of somebody else's skin is the most important thing in your life, you're the problem.
Yes. Yes, a big problem. And you contribute to the problem and you contribute to the hate that's going around. But you know what, Craig? One of the biggest contributors to the hate that's going around lately is the trio of Barack Hussein Obama, Al Sharpton, and Eric Holder.
Oh, I agree.
You've got three race baiters there that are feeding into and perpetrating hate when there is none. We had racial wounds that were healing over. Well, these three ripped the scabs off those wounds and set race relations back 50 or more years.
Yeah, we're no better off now than we were when I was little. And, you know, you look back at when the Civil Rights Act was signed into law back in 1964, we're just right about back to that point now. All the good that has occurred since then has pretty much been wiped away. Now we've got a whole bunch of knotheads out there trying to tell us that we got to go clear off the other end of the scale to make things equal. It's insane.
Well, you know what? I, for one, and I know you do also, we refuse to do that. We're going to call out people, whether they're black, white, pink, or purple polka dotted. We're going to call out people who are wrong, whether it's on our side, on the left, no matter what. People are people, and it's time. We're in the 21st century, folks. Is skin color that important to you?
Well,
seriously.
If it is, you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution.
Exactly.
Man, oh man. Folks, we got a lot to do today. We are going to talk about the State of the Union. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about when it comes to that. We've also got more Muslim issues, especially in Yemen right now, and a couple of great articles. Diane has one out on the no-go zones, speaking of Muslims, and I've got one out on American Sniper. So we're going to get to all that coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Diane, as sick as she is, and I will be back after this.
I believe that every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold.
Ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over, to be the toughest,
the strongest,
the bravest in the world. And when we work together, we can make it all possible. That's why Citi has donated $500,000 to its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us. Like figure skating in Harlem.
Like youth enrichment services. Like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative. Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
Expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members. Join Team Citi and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to citi.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
It started back in 1776. We told old King George we were sick of his tricks. Started our own thing, called it the USA. Yeah, things went fine till 1864. We had a little falling out called the Civil War, but we got through that, and once again we were on our way. We saw 2 world wars and the Great Depression. Korea and Vietnam sure made an impression. Presidents lied to us on TV, but look at what we got today. It's an Obama nation. Yeah, that's what we got. It's an Obama nation. And you can like it or not. You can't forget about how we did it yesterday. Obama is changing things and doing it his way. And all that I can say is, it's an Obama nation. Yeah. Well, now he doesn't seem to care about the Constitution. That's passé. He's got new solutions. And no need to bother Congress. They just get in his way. With executive orders and a room full of czars, he's taking over banks and building our cars. He wants to run health care and control our take-home pay. His Keynesian ways are increasing our debt. We haven't even seen the start of it yet. Our grandkids are gonna be paying till their dying day for this Obama nation. Yeah, that's what we got. It's an Obama nation. And you can like it or not. It's tax, spend, tax. He's gonna break us all, but let's face the facts. He told us what he's gonna do. It's his Obama nation. Woo. Well, he bristles at liberal or socialist. He prefers progressive, but you can bet on this. No matter what you call it, friend, it's an Obama nation. Yeah. You know, I think he wants to change USA to USSA, United Socialist States of America. Ha! Well, das Vidania, comrade. Woo! Have mercy. Hey, you with the Obama sticker on your bumper. How is that hope and change working for you? You know, me, I'm just hoping I'll have some change left in 2012. But that.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. Diane Sorey, sniffling, sneezing, coughing, hacking, runny nose, and all from the Patriot Factor.
When you make me laugh, it makes me cough.
Yeah, well, suck it up, Cupcake. Literally. Folks, we gotta talk about the state of disunion. Last night's speech was just another lie-packed episode of The Narcissist. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you know, when you look at some of this stuff, you know, from this thing, and it was just riddled with lies. You know, at one point he said, and this just really got me. At one point he said, quote, better politics isn't one where Democrats abandon their agenda, unquote. You know, and he went on to say, you know, how everything should be bipartisan and we should be putting all this stuff away. And then he followed it up literally directly with saying that he won the last two elections.
Yeah,
So,
well,
you know,
I got news for Barack Hussein Obama. He didn't win them. He stole them through voter fraud, voter intimidation, people voting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and the dead rising from their graves to vote.
well, there is that. Here's another one of the
small
lies.
thing.
Here's another one of the bald-faced lies, Diane. No challenge poses a greater threat to the future generations than climate change.
Oh, you mean the weather?
That's what I mean. You
The
know, what
weather.
about
the
ISIS?
Man does not get. There is no such thing as climate change. There is no such thing as global warming or global cooling. These are naturally occurring weather cycles that have happened since the Earth first formed and will happen until the Earth is no more. Period.
Can I give you another one of them?
Sure.
Quote, will we accept an economy where only a few of us do spectacularly well, unquote, said the man who just returned from vacation where he had dinner at a restaurant that charges a membership fee of $500,000.
Yes. The man who takes, what is he taking? Something like 27 vacations on our taxpayer dime, each one costing millions of dollars. I mean, talk about elitist nose up in the air.
It's just, you know, here's a great one. Quote, we need affordable, high-quality childcare more than ever. It's not a nice-to-have, it's a must-have, unquote. Now, I don't know about you, Diane, but I was raised without childcare. I didn't have to have childcare mandated to my parents where they had to, you know, take me someplace and, you know, government mandated crap like that. I mean, look, for people that want to do that with their kids, that's fine. But what about all the kids out there that are raised and reared properly without that?
Well, how about, you know, that's the old, it takes a village to raise a child nonsense. It should be, it takes 2 parents to raise a child. It takes parents. Children should be raised in the home, not in government daycare centers. And I'll be damned if I'm going to pay for someone else to drop their child off at a daycare center because they don't want the responsibility or be hassled taking care of their own child.
Well, now, Diane, where is your sense of socialist adventure?
I don't have any. Now, I understand that, you know, some parents, they need the 2 incomes and they have to have childcare. However, most companies nowadays offer on-site childcare for their workers.
Yeah,
you don't need to go to the government to become your babysitter.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, you're absolutely right. But What they want is generations of people who look to the government for everything, including how to raise their children. And it's wrong. I'm telling you, it's flat out wrong, but that's what they want.
Well, we already have 49% of the American population getting some form of government assistance. So why not add a little more and start whole new generations?
Exactly.
Of people tied to the government teat. That's what they're doing.
That's it in a nutshell right there. Watching the speech last night, Diane, it just amazes me how he can stand there and say the things he says with a straight face. I just can't see how he does it. But, I'll tell you something that was remarkably different last night was the applause factor. Now, there was lots of applause and all this crap, but the applause was much lighter because the Democrats are not in control of the Senate anymore. And there's more Republicans in the House now than there has ever been since the end of World War II. Therefore, the amount of people clapping like those little wind-up monkeys with the cymbals, clash, 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 clash. The number of people doing that was remarkably lower last night than it has been in the past.
And I was very keen to observing who was clapping and who was not clapping. And 99.9% of the clapping strictly came from the left side of the aisle.
Exactly.
And I was especially focused on John Boehner sitting behind him. And I can say that he clapped very little. He clapped on the generic, we can let that slide things. But he did not clap on certain of Obama's lies.
Well, Boehner, for the most part, looked like he was been sucking on a very, very sour pickle.
Yeah, he didn't look happy at all.
Not at all. I was amused at one point when the camera panned into the audience and Whistler's great-great-grandmother, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, had fallen asleep.
Yeah, wasn't that a good one?
I mean...
Did anyone else notice? I'm sure, Craig, you noticed. Normally, when you have a State of the Union address, you have certain people of note that sit in the same area as the First Lady. Mm-hmm. And in this State of the Union, where they should have had a representation of the police, who have been, in the news lately, they should have had a representation from our military. Mm-hmm. What do they are veterans? What do they choose to have as representing the people sitting right near Michelle? An illegal immigrant.
Yep, an illegal alien right there in the upper tier, right next to the Moo.
Yes.
And that's kind of an in-your-face from Obama in that, I'm bringing more illegal aliens in, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
What they should have done was have the provost marshal march up to him with a bunch of handcuffs and lead him out of there. But then again, the provost marshal is a Democrat, so, that's why Obama's not being impeached that way, guys, just so you know.
Not that Obama's pandering to the illegal aliens. No, not at all.
No, but to throw an illegal alien right there, center stage, where the cameras constantly pan, is a deliberate slap in the face, not only to the Republicans, but to every immigrant who came to this country legally.
It really is.
We don't care about you either.
Nope. I mean, and look, if we're gonna be brutally honest, and we always are, it's also a slap in the face to black people.
Yes.
Because illegal immigrants are going to be taking jobs away. Because look, let's face it. The illegal immigrants, the dreamers, the illegal aliens that are coming over here, these are not people that are going to be taking white-collar jobs. These are not going to be your rocket scientists. They're not going to be your doctors, your lawyers, anything like that. The bulk of these people that are being ushered across the border by the Obama regime are going to take entry-level positions. And those are positions that a lot of folks in the black community have right now. Plus, it's kind of a slap in the face to a group, Diane, another group that has solidly backed Obama since day one, and that's the unions. Because of Obamacare, it is $3,000 cheaper to hire an illegal alien than it is to hire a U.S. citizen. You don't have to pay Obamacare, nor do you have to pay the Obamacare fine of $3,000 if you hire illegals over U.S. citizens.
Yes, and when that goes into effect, guys, and that's coming anytime, very shortly, our unemployment rolls are going to skyrocket. Well,
and I'm going to deal with that in my article in the National Patriot tomorrow. I spend a considerable amount of time in that article on that very thing. It's absolutely astounding when you look at the figures that are involved in that. But, last night's speech was just yet another pack of wild lies. I've gone through some of the fact check articles today, Diane, and I believe you probably have too. There's not much he got right.
No, very little. In fact, both Craig and I are touching on mainly the economic parts of this speech because he focused on the economy. Did you notice, people, that he still has not said the words Muslim Islamic terrorists? He did not mention Al-Qaeda. He did not mention that ISIS was born because he announced when we were going to be leaving Iraq. He stayed away from any and all of that. Yet, he lied about our veterans, making himself out to be one of the biggest boosters and supporters of our veterans and our troops, when we all know it's quite the opposite.
Well, our veterans are standing in lines still at the VA, lines that apparently illegal aliens will never have to stand in. And he did mention ISIL, ISIL, last night, but he would not say ISIS. Let me tell people something, just so they understand the grievousness of him calling ISIS ISIL. ISIS stands for the Islamic State of the Levant. The Levant runs from Turkey all the way down into northern Africa, into Egypt and that whole area. Under the Levant, the state of Israel does not exist. So when Obama calls ISIS ISIL, he is acknowledging that he agrees with his blood brethren that the state of Israel does not exist. Well, and that part of the speech last night, Diane, I firmly believe in my heart was meant for ISIS to hear. In other words,
yes,
I'm still with you. I'm still, keeping things as cool as I can for you. Yes. You just keep doing what you're doing, and sooner rather than later, the caliphate will be where we want it. I mean, because everybody in the world pays attention, whether they should or not, to a State of the Union speech, regardless of who the president is. Because as goes America, so go they. Yes. And so you can bet that ISIS was tuning in last night to hear what their agent in America had to say. So that part of the speech was directed solely at them, just to tell them, hey, as long as I'm still in command, you're still in control.
Well, the Republican Congress kind of got Obama back for that today because Bibi Netanyahu has been invited to speak before Congress.
And that came directly from John Boehner.
Yes.
And it's going to be a joint session of Congress, so he will address both the House and the Senate at the same time. Yes, and that's going to be amazing, and I can tell you who won't be present for that. You got to love it. We will be focused on that and reporting on that big time. I am so looking forward to hearing what Bibi Netanyahu has to say to Congress. And of course, he is the world's last great statesman, so don't expect him to stand there and give Obama the finger, although that's exactly what he should do. He's much too classy of an individual to do that. But Bibi's words carry a lot of weight, so it's going to be quite the speech, I'm sure.
I'm sure, and I cannot wait to hear it.
Now,
and it should be coming up not too far in the distant.
Yeah, this is going to happen pretty quick, I'm pretty sure. Now, let me give our listeners just some numbers. These are just flat-out numbers. This comes actually from the GOP, which proves that even a blind squirrel can once in a while find a nut. Okay? You take everything Obama said last night, and you have to compare it to these actual numbers, okay? Our total debt is now $18.1 trillion.
Yes.
The debt when Obama took office was $10.6 trillion, which means that he has added $7.5 trillion to it. When Obama called the debt irresponsible and unpatriotic, the debt was only $4 trillion. All right?
Yes, and that was under Bush.
The cost of Obamacare coverage provisions through 2024 is going to cost $1.8 trillion. Total student debt held by Americans right now, $1.3 trillion.
Yes.
Obama last night talked about jacking taxes up another, $320 billion?
Mm-hmm.
Well, get this. That's on top of Obamacare. And Obamacare is a tax, the largest single tax increase in American history at $869.3 billion. $95 billion. That's the cost of the new regulations that have been added over the last 6 years. And that is costing businesses. Okay?
Yes.
Yes. The average amount of debt added every day since Obama became the president, $3.4 billion. And how much would construction of the Keystone Pipeline, which Obama last night threatened to veto if a bill authorizing it came to his desk? The exact same $3.4 billion, okay? Get this. The construction of Keystone Pipeline would contribute $3.4 billion to the gross domestic product, and that is according to Obama's State Department review, okay? And the average amount of debt added every day since Obama became president, $3.4 billion. The number of Americans receiving food stamps in fiscal year 2014, 46.5 million. That number is climbing.
Yes.
The average number of Americans who have joined the food stamp program since 2009, 13 million.
Well, I've got some figures that can go along with that because that goes hand in hand with the jobs numbers. Okay?
All right.
Remember, Obama called this a breakthrough year for America, meaning 2014. And he relished in the fact that the unemployment rate dropped to 5.6. But of course, we know he's leaving out those who have left the workforce because they can't find any jobs, and he's leaving out, of course, the number of people that have been demoted to part-time work because the employees cannot afford to pay for insurance. But here are some other figures, okay? The actual people in the actual workforce has dropped to 62.7%, the same as February of 78. 92.6 million people who want to work cannot work because they cannot find work. 76% of every American family lives paycheck to paycheck. And like I said before, a full 49% of Americans receive some form of government assistance. So the picture that he posted as being so rosy, it's not.
Not even close. Here's another one for you. The total debt as a percentage of gross domestic product under Obama. Now remember, last night during the speech, he was talking about how our economy is recovering and how nice and rosy and pretty the picture is. The total debt as a percentage of gross domestic product under Barack Hussein Obama, 100%.
Wow.
Our economy cannot possibly be getting better or stronger if the percentage of debt is exactly equal to the GDP. That means it is completely stagnated. Okay, Diane mentioned earlier about Obama and his vacations. He has taken 174 days of vacation over the last 6 years.
Wow, that's a third of the year, guys.
74 days of vacation. He has played 215 rounds of golf. That number is also going up. Last year alone, Obama attended 65 fundraisers. Let's see here. He issued last night in his State of the Union, he issued 6 separate threats of veto.
Yes. Yes.
And the number of times he has actually worked with Congress on anything, 0.
Yes, and here's something else, guys. He's touting how his policies are making us energy independent. I hate to tell him, but we're becoming a bit more energy independent in spite of his energy policies, because people don't realize most of the boom occurring in the energy field are happening on lands owned by the state and in private hands, not on federally owned lands.
Well,
and that in and itself proves that the boom is moving forward strictly because of the ingenuity of the private sector. And his saying that more public lands are being set aside for either energy or protected use than any previous administration is pure crap, because what he's doing is he's taking control away from state governments as well as from individual private citizens who have the strongest incentive to grow the economy and who have the strongest incentive to create jobs. He's lying even about that.
The whole thing last night was nothing but a pack of lies. And, from beginning to end, and everything in between, he's patting himself on the back for things that had nothing to do with him, threatening vetoes, talking about, cranking up taxes, more spending, more taxes, which is only going to add to the debt and the deficit. It's just on and on and on and on. There was absolutely nothing new in last night's speech. It's the same crap we have heard 6 years running now, and the same crap we're going to hear again next year. It's absolutely incredible to me, how other people don't see through this. Now, I know our listeners see through it, but there's a whole lot of people out there, folks, that don't. And I cannot for the life of me figure that out. All you have to do to see through it is ask yourself a very simple question. Are you better off today than you were 6 years ago?
Well, the ones seeing through it, not seeing through it, I should say, are the 49% that are getting government assistance. Let's be honest here. People don't like to bite the hand that feeds them, because if they do that, the hand that feeds them will take away their food, etc. People have become tied to the government, which is so bad on so many levels.
Well, the bottom line from last night's speech, the truth that you need to take away from last night's speech is that as long as Obama and his regime remain in power, things are only going to get worse.
A lot worse. Guys, we have 2 more years of this nonsense. Unless this Republican Congress, unless one person in that Congress stands up and calls for his impeachment. because the only way to arrest him for treason and aiding, abetting the enemy is to first impeach him. We need just one person in Congress to stand up on that floor and say, I call for the impeachment of Barack Hussein Obama for treason, aiding and abetting the enemy, and crimes against America. I am asking one person in Congress to do that. I guarantee if one stands up, others will join them.
You know, the Congress is going to have to grow a set, because if everything that Obama promised to veto, he does veto, Congress needs to either override it or make him own it, because those vetoes, those 6 that he promised last night, are going to be jobs-killing vetoes. And, it's time Congress grew a set and hold him responsible for that. Folks, we're going to have to take a quick break. When we come back, Muslims in Yemen are causing quite a problem. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And you can thank Obama's, what he called last night, smart leadership for this latest round of Islam rising. Folks, don't go anywhere. Diane and I will be back after this.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. Oh, and your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years' experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service, and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, Citigold will be with you.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
And
listening to the second hour of Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We, the people.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. Diane, sorry with the sniffles and head congestion from the Patriot Factor. Diane, you're feeling much better now than you did at the beginning of the show, right? Diane?
Honestly,
Diane,
no.
Hello?
Gotta be honest.
Well, you're sounding ever so much better.
Well, I sat up instead of laid down.
Oh man, I'm telling you what, that's horrible. It's horrible.
Yes.
And hopefully, things will clear out in the next day or so. For you, but for the time being, you're just going to have to muddle through. We've got more Islam trouble, Diane, this time over in Yemen. Apparently, the Islamist terrorists have taken over the king's palace.
Yes, and Craig, we seem to have something coming through here, and I have no clue what it is because I have nothing open.
Yeah, me either, but something just bled through. I'm telling you, we're getting messed with a little bit today, folks. And it comes as no surprise because I think the alphabets knew we were going to be scorning Obama's State of Disunion and everything else. So I'm not surprised that if we're getting messed with a little bit today.
Yes.
But anyway, let's take on this ISIS problem because what's happening over in Yemen right now is not good. We have actually moved 2 warships into place over there near Yemen in case we have to evacuate our embassy. And I say in case, jokingly, because if you're asking me, we should have done it a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. Yemen President Abdel Rabu Mansour Hadi, he's being held captive by rebels who attacked his compound, just as our military has moved the USS Iwo Jima and the USS Fort McHenry into the Red Sea. Now let's understand something, guys. The media is calling these rebels. They are not rebels. They are ISIS-supported forces.
Now, Yemen, this is the second time in 2 shows that we've had Yemen in the news because Obama just released, right before Saturday's show, last Friday, he released 4, well, he actually released 5 terrorists, but 4 of them went to Oman, which is right next door to Yemen, and they were from Yemen to begin with. These were Gitmo terrorist detainees, and now they're right back in the mix.
Yes, and what this is, folks, this is a coup to overthrow the government. But unlike Egypt, where they got a good guy, al-Sisi, they're not going to get good guys here. They're going to get ISIS. They're going to get al-Qaeda. They're going to get everybody and anybody that will do harm to the Middle East in general.
Well, in a way, Diane, this is a lot like what happened in Egypt if you go back before al-Sisi, because what happened there was they overthrew Mubarak and they put in place the Muslim Brotherhood, which was Islamic. And,
Yes.
and this is what we have seen throughout the Middle East. This is part of what I have called the Obama doctrine for the last several years. What you want to do is you want to get Islam to overthrow whoever is leading any particular country so that there is a void of power which can be filled immediately by Islam. And while Yemen is not the garden spot of the world, and they have, for a long time, been a sponsor of Islamic terror, and there have been plenty of Islamic terrorist training camps and things in Yemen. What this is a coup to install Islam as the official government of Yemen.
Yes,
the palace,
Sharia law again.
Yep, the king's palace was taken over earlier today. The king is now being held in his palace by Islamic terrorists, ISIS. Al-Qaeda, Muslim Brotherhood, Hezbollah, you call them whatever you want. They're all under one big umbrella. And we've got the Iwo Jima and the Fort McHenry off the coast in the Red Sea right now in case we need to evacuate the embassy. In case? In case?
Yeah, they should have been evacuated a long time ago, days ago, weeks ago.
Now, if you go back to when Gaddafi was toppled in Libya.
To be our ally and friend, who were anything but. President Hadi, he had been put in that position in a deal brokered by Saudi Arabia and other Gulf monarchies following a popular uprising way back in 2011 that forced out the dictator, the then dictator of Yemen, Ali Abdullah Saleh. And both of these people had cooperated closely with U.S. attacks on Sunni militants in Yemen. So in other words, they supported the U.S. in trying to tone down the terrorist attacks. So what happens? ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the terrorists come in to throw them out. This is very similar to what happened with Mubarak in Egypt.
Now, let me ask you a question. This is the rhetorical you. This is our listeners and everybody. Have you heard Obama say one word about trying to stop this? No. Because this is exactly what he wants. In fact, by putting those warships are not out there as a threat to ISIS. They are out there to get our people the hell out of there so that ISIS will have an easier time taking over the country of Yemen. That's all this is. Not that our diplomatic corps is known for their fighting ability. In fact, our diplomatic corps is just that. They're diplomats. They're not there to fight with anybody. But our diplomats, except for Benghazi, traditionally have been guarded by U.S. Marines. If you get the diplomats out, you have also pulled the Marines out. And once you do that, there is no resistance to ISIL or ISIS moving in. What you have here is a situation where we are avoiding the murders of more of our diplomatic corps by simply getting them the hell out of the way. Just so that ISIS can come marching in and not meet any resistance. That's really what this boils down to. This is part of what Obama referred to last night in his speech as smart leadership.
Yeah, and what people need to understand is that the leader of the opposition, and his name is Abd al-Malik al-Houthi. These names are just ridiculous. We might as well just go blah, 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 blah. He's 32 years old, and he is accusing the president's son of stealing billions of dollars from the government. He's using that as one of his excuses for attacking. And he's saying that the president, Hadi, has aided Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula to attack Shiites. Again, this is the Sunni Shiite battle coming back to haunt. And he's using that as his motivation for seizing the presidential palace and for drafting a new constitution, and that his movement's actions were intended to enforce a September power-sharing deal. Now, this power-sharing deal between the Sunni and the Shiites has never been reported in our media.
Ever.
At least not that you and I know anything about, and we're pretty on top of all of this.
What you have here, Yemen is yet another piece of the caliphate puzzle.
Yes.
And in order for the caliphate to truly become ISIL rather than ISIS, you must control the entire region. Now, what we have today are Shiites moving in on Yemen. Okay?
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, you can't find a hair's difference between the Shiites and the Sunnis when it comes to Islamic terror. They're all in this thing. They're just different branches of it.
Yes.
And you know, the Yemen, folks, I'm telling you, is going to fall within the next 1 or 2 days. It will be completely in the hand. It will be evacuating people. You wait. You'll see, maybe even by the end of the show, you will see that we have started to evacuate personnel from Yemen. You don't put the Fort McHenry and the Iwo Jima out there if you're not going to use them. And God knows we're not going to use them to drive back the Islamic forces from Yemen. We're just going to use them to pull our people out of there. That's it.
Yes. And it's going to get worse, folks. It's going to get a lot worse because what happens in Yemen is going to spread throughout that region. And eventually, I don't know if people have noticed, but on my personal timeline, I've put up a new map. And it's a map of the Middle East showing how ISIL is moving up through these countries from the south to the east, to the north, and then back down to the south, completely surrounding Israel.
Which really is going to make Netanyahu's speech before the joint session of Congress in a couple of weeks even more important, because he is the one, his country, his nation, Israel, is the one that is the target of all this. What he has to tell Congress is not only going to be interesting, the consequences of taking no action is going to be dire. Now, yes. Am I saying that Israel can't defend herself? No. But what I'm saying is we should be standing with them. We should not leave Israel in a position where they have to do the ultimate things to defend themselves. Obama wants to force them into that corner. And then, of course, if Israel ever does use nuclear weapons to defend itself and its people, then they will receive the world's scorn for doing it, and that's the problem. Now, what we're watching today very closely is what's happening in Yemen, because like Diane said, this is going to spread. The reason it's going to spread is because once ISIS sees how easy it is to move in and watches the Americans just flee, the diplomatic corps and the Marines that guard them and all of that just flee, then they're going to be emboldened to do it again and again and again. And that's what Obama was talking about last night when he kept referring to them as ISIL instead of ISIS. He's telling them, I will stay out of your way.
Yes.
I believe in you. I believe in the Levant. I believe that ISIL is the future. That's what he's telling them. He was using last night the State of the Union address, in my opinion, to send a message directly to the terrorists in the Middle East to tell them, I am in power here and I will keep our people out of your way over there.
Yes, and that's a very dangerous, dangerous message to send, folks, because this adds to not only aiding and abetting the enemy, but out and out treason. He is also aiding in the toppling of an in-place government. Talk about nation building. He's doing nation destroying.
Yeah, and then leaving it to be rebuilt by 7th century barbarians.
With 21st century weapons. I mean, guys, this is not good at all. And people here need to understand that if we don't stop this, they're going to be here. They're going to come through our unsealed southern borders. And we're going to have acts like this on our own soil. We cannot allow this to continue.
And folks, don't forget what we were talking about the other day on Right Side Patriots. We don't even have to wait for him to come through the southern border. Obama is importing, right now he is expediting the paperwork for 9,000 Syrian quote-unquote refugees. Now,
and that number will go to 75,000 Syrian refugees within 5 years.
The problem is we don't know who these people are. We don't know if they're really refugees. We don't know if they're masquerading as refugees when they're really ISIS. We don't know, because the process to vet them has been literally dismantled. The Department of Homeland Security is supposed to be the ones vetting them. And we just saw a couple of weeks ago in a report from the House Oversight Committee that the Department of Homeland Security is basically worthless. They can't even maintain security on their own computers in their own office, much less do anything else. So we don't know who these people are. Plus, you want to add to that all the trouble the Obama regime has caused within our intelligence gathering services. They are no longer able to function in these countries because nobody will cooperate with them. You know, we had a guy cooperate with a doctor, Dr. Afridi, cooperated in Pakistan, which gave us the location of the Osama bin Laden compound. Okay, that gentleman, that doctor, is still in prison to this day. Yes. He's stuck in a prison. Why? Because he cooperated with us, and we have done nothing, not one thing, not lifted one finger to get this guy out of that situation, which sends a direct message to any who would cooperate with us. Don't, because America will not have your back if you do.
Yes, and let's remember one important thing about Yemen, why it's so critical. Number one, Yemen is the home of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. That is extremely, extremely important. The other thing that we need to remember more than anything is that these rebels, these so-called rebels, guess who's backing them? Iran. And when you have Iran backing them, you know that cannot be good for the United States.
And nor can it be good for Israel, nor can it be good for any civilized nation. And this is what we've been talking about for a long time, is that this really is a battle between barbarians and civilized people. And Obama is doing everything he can from his perch at 1600 Pennsylvania to make sure that the barbarians control the Middle East. Once they have established a caliphate, there is nothing to stop them from their march through Europe, into the Western world, nothing except perhaps Vladimir Putin.
Yes, you know, Craig and I have spoken a lot about Vladimir Putin, and we understand he is not a good guy. He's done some very bad things. Let's get that up front. However, what most people don't understand about Vladimir Putin is he is not a communist. He is a statist. His goal is to reestablish not the old Soviet Union, but the Russian Empire. His goal is Russia first, Russia first. That should be our president's goal, America first. Vladimir Putin has knocked us down to the second leading superpower in this world when we used to be number one. China has knocked us down to the world's second economy when we used to be number one. And all this has happened under the Obama regime. We need to take some lessons from China and take some lessons from Vladimir Putin.
I mean, it's amazing when you think about it, what's going on. When you really scrape away the bull crap that this regime keeps feeding us and the rest of the world, and look at the situation in the light of truth, it's absolutely disturbing what's going on over there. Now, we're going to keep an eye on what's happening in Yemen. I fully expect Yemen to be completely under the control of Islam by this weekend. I mean, I really, there's nothing there. There's nothing there that's going to stop them. And Obama certainly isn't talking about stopping them. No. It's just a free run. It's a free-for-all over there. And when that happens, guess what we're going to be told? There's more refugees. And we, as America, need to throw open our doors to these poor Yemeni refugees, just like we are the poor Syrian refugees.
You know what? Their own countries. Remember, Israel is surrounded by 25 Arab countries, 24 Arab countries. My brain is just clogged right now. I can't remember the exact figure. But these countries, most of them, their populations are grouped into certain areas. The countries are vast wastelands, vast areas where no one is living. Their own brethren need to take them in. Yet did you ever wonder why their own brethren won't take them in? But we will? No. I have a serious problem with that. I don't think we should have any more Muslim immigration into this country or refugees of the Muslim persuasion coming into this country. Pretty soon, it's been proven that when Muslims reach a population of about 7% of a given country's population, they start really pressuring for change. When they reach 10% of a country's population, that country is basically held hostage to their demands. This is what's happened in France and other countries in Europe. This is why you have the no-go zones, because they now have a voice that's very powerful. We cannot let that happen here. Right now, the Muslim population, I believe, is either 1.8 or 2%, somewhere in the low ranges. We can stop it here.
Well, the reason for all this is really quite simple, folks. Islam has no intention of assimilating into anybody else's culture. Their only goal in going into somebody else's culture is to dominate that culture. And right. Islam can be very, very patient about it. They can work their way in, get a foot in the door, squeeze their way in the door, and before you know it, they're in total control. And if you don't knuckle under to them, if you don't bow down to them, that's when you get the terrorist activity like what we saw in France 2 weeks ago. This is what we have to avoid over here, because Islam will never, ever assimilate into anybody else's culture. Their only goal is to take over. That's it. Dominate the world. Take over everybody else's culture.
When they start coming in slow into a country, and I'll get into this in the next part, but when they start coming into a country and they set up their no-go zones, what they do is they set up a parallel society that keeps their Sharia-compliant government, keeps their barbaric ways, as they refuse to accept that country's identity. They refuse to assimilate. Absolutely refuse.
And folks, that organization already exists here in the United States. It's called CARE.
Yes.
CAIR, CARE.
They are not a kumbaya, oh, we're not so bad, the Arabs are okay, the Muslims are okay society. No. They are an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, if you will. They condone the actions of Al-Qaeda. They condone the actions of ISIS. Obama has infiltrated our government with Brotherhood members. We need to purge our government. We need to purge our country of the enemy. Have you ever heard in history of a country willingly letting in the enemy?
Well,
but under this regime, we do.
Folks, what's going on in Yemen today is not an isolated incident. It is part of the growing caliphate. It is yet another piece of the caliphate puzzle. And Obama, in his smart leadership that he talked about last night, is doing absolutely nothing to slow it down or stop it. In fact, he has positioned the USS Fort McHenry and the USS Iwo Jima to evacuate American personnel from Yemen, thus giving the Islamists free rein. That's what it is.
Yes.
We're going to have to take a quick break, Diane. I know you need to blow your nose again and do some more coughing and hacking.
I can't breathe.
You know, breathing is overrated. Come on.
Oh, yeah, just like sleep.
Come on now. We've only got 30 more minutes to go on the show, folks. The big question is, will Diane make it the full 30 minutes?
I don't know.
Well, when we
make it.
When we come
guys,
back,
if one thing Craig and I are, we are dedicated to taking our country back. And unless we're on our deathbeds, we will continue to write and we will continue to get the truth out.
And you're sitting at your desk right now?
No, I'm laying in my bed.
There you go. Diane is in her deathbed. Folks, we'll be back after this. Don't go anywhere.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another, of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up. And helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter, so that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day. The moment you connect, you're no longer in control.
What does this guy want? No claim, no statement.
We're facing a nuclear meltdown. This is only the beginning.
The Black Hat, rated R.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I'm just an old black sheep from the family tree. I'm now a vet and a victim of society. Hell, I stood by the gun just to keep us free. Now my own damn country's turned its back on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. From the Revolution War to the Middle East,
Uncle Sam. You want to judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. Well, you think you know me, but you haven't got a clue. I stood and fought so that you would not have to. Don't tread on me. Yeah, don't tread on me. You want to judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Yeah, the old Middle East is like a man down. The old W's, K-I-A's, M-I-A. And I find new soldiers in a foreign land.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot and Diane Story from the Patriot Factor. And the patriotfactor.blogspot.com is where you need to go to read Diane's article on no-go zones. And if you don't know what this stuff is all about, you need to. This is really important. Diane, a great article, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, these no-go zones have been in effect for quite a few years in Europe, but they only really came to light after the Charlie Hebdo attack. And surprising, guys, guess what? France has 751 of them. They call them sensitive urban zones, or ZUS, but what they translate into is no-go zones. And what they are is basically Muslim-only areas within a given city in France that said host country, France, has relinquished their legal control of and given it over to Muslim control. And these no-go zones actually function as micro-states, complete with Sharia religious law courts. In fact, by the way, Britain has 85 such courts. Sharia government, Sharia anything but justice, Sharia dictated punishment for perceived crimes that in the real world never happened, and they don't allow outsiders to come in. When police are called in for something, what they will do is they'll throw rocks. They'll plummet the police and the police cars going in, making these zones, for all intents and purposes, war zones. And the thing is, guys, these are all over Europe. The Netherlands has 40 of them. Scandinavia, Sweden has them. Germany has them. Every European country has them. And the problem is, they're going to come here because Obama is letting in, within 5 years, 75,000 Syrian rebels.
Yeah,
and we already, to some degree, have one. It's called Dearborn, Michigan.
Yeah, Dearbornistan. Now, here is another part of this problem, too, folks. Every time there is a law passed that is a no Sharia law, along comes the ACLU. They take it to a federal court and they get it overturned.
Yes.
Okay. If we had a ban on Sharia law in this country, these no-go zones would be ineffectual in this country. But as long as we keep overturning the no Sharia law stuff, that means that there is that opportunity for Islam to move in and demand no-go zones within our country.
Yes, and this is very serious, folks, because remember, we already have jihadi training camps here in America. And don't think for a minute that we don't. We have over 30 of them You can Google jihadi terror camps, and it'll bring up all the information. Quite a few states have them. Unfortunately, my own state of Florida has one. Now, the thing is, they are using these camps as their logical next step into turning our America into their so-wanted caliphate. And of course, with Obama's help, because he looks away. He's not stopping these zones from coming here. Now, there's a case in point. We all know about Dearborn, Michigan, and we know that it's 49% Muslim at this point, but it's very vocal, and they are intimidating the 51% who are not Muslim. However, Texas, a place you would never expect it, Texas with their cowboys and their concealed carry, and, you know, being strong conservatives in Texas, the Islamic center of America is now starting what's called an Islamic village in Dallas, Texas. In other words, they are building one of these no-go zones in Dallas, Texas, with the permission of their city council, who is giving them permits.
Now what this is a case of being politically correct until you die. Because this is what Dallas is guilty of in this case. They said, well, you know, we must be politically correct, and we mustn't offend, and we must be welcoming to all these different groups. When in fact, what they're doing is allowing the creation of a no-go zone in Dallas. It's unbelievable.
Yes, exactly. And to be more specific, it's the Islamic Association of North Texas. And it's called an Islamic Village Project, meaning there are more planned than just this one. It will have housing. It will have a mosque, of course. It will have a community center. And we all know what goes on in those Islamic community centers. And it will be a no-go zone, meaning the outside is not welcome in. Dallas knows what this is, yet they are bowing to political correctness. And by doing that, the Muslims don't have to lift a finger to take over our country. They will win by default.
They just waltz in, set up shop, and away they go. You know, I mean, this is really quite incredible. That's why you need to read Diane's article, because there are so many details in the article about what's going on over in Europe with these and how it translates to what is about to start happening over here. And can you imagine outlawing such a practice over here? Why, the ACLU would be tied knots.
We need to, first of all, we need to neutralize or render impotent the ACLU.
Oh, I agree.
They are causing more trouble in this country, probably second only to Barack Obama. And what people forget is when these no-go zones come in, their culture takes over, their way of life takes over. They do not allow for assimilation. So if we have enough of them in this country, like they have in Europe, our Judeo-Christian country, in a short period of time, will basically cease to exist, because these no-go zones will bring in unchecked immigration, even worse than it is now. And if this starts happening within the next 2 years, which we believe it will, we have a president that's actually laying out the welcome mat for these people.
Well, and the reason we believe it's going to happen within the next 2 years is because that's the length of Obama's stay at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And as long as he's in power, as long as the liberals are running the politically correct train down the tracks, they're not going to meet the kind of resistance they need to meet when they go to set these things up.
Yes. So guys, I mean, my article has a lot of facts in it, and it is an interesting read. It still reads as an article, not just facts thrown in there. And the bottom line is you need to understand that we have to stop this before it's too late. But there is a caveat to that. It might already be too late. But with that, Craig, you had a great article. You went to see American Sniper, and it's a film that I recommend.
Well, it is one of those films that everybody needs to go see. Yeah, it is one of those films that everybody needs to see. When I saw that it had opened here in our little community, I said, I've got to go see it. I've got to go see it on opening weekend. And I was so glad I did. But I was not alone. I found out today, just before taking the air, that American Sniper set a box office record for opening on a Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend. Now, see, people keep track of everything. But the previous record for this particular weekend was $41 million. American Sniper raked in $105 million in its opening weekend.
And that record was previously set by the movie Avatar.
And folks, I got to tell you, when I went and saw this, I was astounded that in the theater about, I would say the average age of the people watching the film with me was probably 65 to 70 years old. I would have thought this was a movie that more young people would go to than older people. However, everybody, regardless of age, it's an R-rated film because there is a lot of violence in it, folks. It takes place in Iraq in a war zone. This is the true story of American Sniper Chris Kyle. It's derived from his book. It's produced and directed by Clint Eastwood. And the part of Chris Kyle is played by Bradley Cooper. And this whole thing is absolutely the most astounding bit of filmmaking I have seen in years and years and years. We've had, and we've all seen it in social media, we've had the Michael Moores and the Seth Rogans and the Dave Edelstons, he's a film critic, come out and slam this movie, slam Chris Kyle. We've also seen other celebrities like Dean Cain, Medal of Valor, Medal of Honor winners like Dakota Myers, Brian Sykes, who is a former SEAL in his own right, come out and slam the people that are slamming or speaking ill of the movie or ill of Chris Kyle. Let me tell you something about how this movie is put together. Because you won't find me writing in my political blog about movies. As a matter of fact, I think it's the first one I ever did. But this transcends everything. Because this is real. What you see is real. The situations happened. This is a movie that does not just appeal to the guys either. Because half this movie is really through the eyes of Chris Kyle's wife, Taya. Because this deals with the family back home as well as him in 4 different deployments in Iraq. One of the things that is just kind of snuck into this movie, it's a tiny little scene that comprises less than 5 minutes of the film, is a flashback to Chris Kyle and his younger brother when they were children. And they're sitting at the table, and Chris Kyle's father, Wayne, tells the boys there are 3 types of people in the world. There are sheep, there are wolves, and there are sheepdogs. And he tells Chris, always be the sheepdog. And that's what Chris Kyle was for the rest of his life. He was always the sheepdog. He was always guarding and watching over those who were vulnerable. As a Navy SEAL and a sniper, he was watching over our men and women in uniform. Mm-hmm. He is credited with 160 kills. There are 95 more possible kills, making him the most lethal sniper in American military history. it also deals with what happens when he comes home and his own bout with PTSD. There is nothing in this movie that glosses over the Iraq War. Nothing in this movie that glamorizes the Iraq War. Nothing in this movie of what the liberals in this country are saying this movie does. This movie shows it for its brutality and its ugliness and everything that you never want to be involved in, unless you are a member of our military, because they volunteer to stand where others won't. They volunteer to defend against the evils of the world where others don't. And that's who Chris Kyle really was. It's not an easy movie to watch. It's one of those movies that is absolutely gripping, even though you know how it ends before you go. I want to point out, and I point this out at the very beginning of the article. Eddie Ray Routh is the guy who killed Chris Kyle. Mm-hmm. That trial is coming up next month. He's finally going to be put on trial for what he did. We know he did it. He admitted to doing it. What we don't know is why. And that's what this trial is going to be about. His defense team is going to try to paint him as being insane. The prosecution is going to try to say that he knew exactly what he was doing. And I believe the prosecution is correct in this, because the only reason they knew who did it was he stole Chris Kyle's truck, drove to his sister's house, Routh did. And when his sister asked him where he got the truck, he said, "I sold my soul for a new pickup." Well, that tells me that he knew what he did was wrong, and that he did it anyway. But it's going to be an interesting trial. It starts next month. But one of the things that I was absolutely, two things I was absolutely fascinated by at the very, very end of the movie. One is that the ending credits roll silently. There is no music behind them, no score. You don't find that in very, very many pictures, and not very many people got up and left before those credits were done. It is a silent exclamation point on a brilliant masterpiece of a film. The other thing is, normally when you leave a movie, especially one where there's a lot of action, and this one has a lot of action, you hear people talking about the movie, what they liked about the movie, what they didn't like about the movie, what they thought was great about the movie, so on and so forth. When we left American Sniper, I didn't hear a word from anybody who came out of that theater all the way out to the parking lot. Wow. People were absolutely stunned by what they had just seen. Now, this is a tribute not only to the life of Chris Kyle and the fortitude of his wife, Taya. It is also a tribute to the incredible job that Bradley Cooper did playing Chris Kyle. I'm telling you, it's spooky. He looks just like him. He packed on 40 pounds of muscle to play the part.
It's what gets me, Craig, about this?
Wait. It's also a tribute to Sienna Miller, who played the part of Taya, and did so, I believe, astoundingly. And it's a huge tribute to Clint Eastwood, who had the vision to make this movie and do it the right way. Not to take liberties, not to throw stuff in, not to try and make a political statement. I don't care what the damn liberals tell you. He did this movie about Chris Kyle strictly because it was about Chris Kyle. Nothing else. And Eastwood should be applauded for this. He's made some great movies over the years. This is by far the best. I'm sorry, Diane, what were you going to say?
Well, you know what gets me about this movie right now? Jesse Ventura, as you know, is going further on with another lawsuit. Now he wants the Army to have Chris Kyle declared, oh God, what's the word? I just forgot.
Well, they want a court-martial. He wants to court-martial.
Thank you.
Chris Kyle.
Want to court-martial an American hero. That's why people, you really need to see this and understand what a hero really is. Hero is not a sports figure throwing around a little football making godzillion dollars a year. That's not a hero. A movie star, a liberal movie star making some stupid idiot picture is not a hero. A pop singer is not a hero. People like Chris Kyle, they are true American heroes. And now you know in this country who our true American haters are, who the people who want to defile heroes are. People like Jesse Ventura.
People like Michael Moore. People like Seth Rogen.
Michael Moore. Yes.
Before they made this movie, Clint Eastwood and Bradley Cooper went and sat down with Wayne Kyle, Chris Kyle's father. Mm-hmm. And Chris Kyle looked him in the eye and he said, "You disrespect my son, there'll be hell to pay." There will be no hell to pay. This movie is utterly incredible. It's a masterpiece. And dare I say it, so is Chris Kyle.
Yes. 1 in a million, and he needs to be remembered for the hero that he is, whose life was cut too short for absolutely stupid reasons. But his death is not in vain. It's not in vain because maybe now a whole generation of kids coming up will understand what a hero really is.
The world needs more Chris Kyles, more sheepdogs, and that's where I left the article. Folks, if you haven't read it yet, I urge you to do it. Pass it around. You'll find it at thenationalpatriot.com. With that, Diane, we are done for the day. Lucky you. You get to go sneeze and blow and cough and hack. And
I know, I'm really on the verge of, I don't think I could have done another half an hour.
Folks, if you missed any part of Diane's cold-laden show today, you can catch it again at midnight tonight right here on CPR Worldwide Media. With that, Diane, it's time to say goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Go find a network wants to treat me right. Y'all can take the change and stick it out of sight. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Well, it used to be easy, get a place, build a house. Now the EPA said no, that's the home of the blue mouse. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna use some common sense and we're gonna take back our country. Well, they've beaten to death that pole race horse. This politically correct thing has run its course. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Bing. Lots of divorces from showing them bangs.
Why don't you mind your own business?
That's good advice.
Mind your own business.
Dad got it right.
But if you mind your business, then you won't be minding mine.
Every sign says for sale, for lease. Price reduced. Make an offer, please. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. There's no way today we could build Boulder Dam. There'd be way too many government permit scams. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. to Chicago. Take your teleprompter with you so you'll know where to go. So move it all over